Hi, my name is Dougie. I suppose most people would create a website for promoting a business or a service or a product. I think if I'm honest, my website and this video in itself is really to promote a book that I've written over the last few years, which has so much to share that I think I wanted to get a website out to do the best I could to promote it. It all starts with a story really that I lived in Devon, in a very pretty village on the edge of Dartmoor with my wife Franny. And we were there for 16 years, and on the 28th of March 2006 I lost her. I think in the most tragic way that you could possibly let your mind wander into, so please don't go there, but it was pretty tragic. So much so that the next day I simply picked up our little Jonty, our Burmese pussycat, and walked away from that cottage and never returned. I closed my architectural practice almost immediately, tried to cover the last two major projects I was doing, and I began to realise that rather than implode into some dark, dreadful dark place of sadness, I ought to try and do something with my life to maybe help people in need around the world. I think that in itself was going to make me stop feeling sorry for myself, and it surely did. My first trip was off to Kenya, and I recall arriving very much alone in Nairobi at night and thinking what on earth has happened, but nevertheless I was on my way. I went 3 times to Kenya and had a new school built, and for my architectural prowess I designed some wonderful composting toilets that seemed to work so wonderfully, that took away many pit toilets in Kenya. But the school was good and I enjoyed doing that, and I took hands-on quite a lot of the time, helping, which was a wonderful affair. The next beginnings of new horizons was off to India. I eventually made 12 trips to India and in fact lived there for a while. That all started with a trip to Bhopal, and on the journey there I was sitting next to a very smartly suited gentleman, and I said hello, my name is Dougie, and explained what I was doing and what my journey in life had become. He listened to my few words of explaining what I was up to and where I was going. He was a very senior UK consultant surgeon and began talking to me about breast cancer. 6 hours. It was quite a tutorial really, and I think some of the points that he raised were quite amazing. I was thinking, wow, this is life-saving, this is what he wants to do, and it's really what I was looking for. He said at the end of his tutorial, he said to me, Dougie, something in my heart is screaming at me that you could help me fulfill my dream. It sounded a bit strange, although I didn't really know this guy. And I said, what do you mean, your dream? What is your dream? He said to start the first digital, not analogue, the first digital mobile mammogram screening unit of breast cancer in India. And he said, I think you could help me. So I said, well, that's not quite my line of profession, that maybe we should communicate when we get back to the UK eventually and see what happens. Well, to cut a long story short, we did communicate. I worked with him for a year and he gave me such incredible training on this subject matter. I eventually wrote a 60-page portfolio and walked throughout India, lecturing at universities, colleges, to students, to thousands of Indian girls. I thought, this is wonderful, this is getting to new generation India, and it was life-saving. So that was a wonderful role I had. But apart from that, off I went to Bhopal. I was helping people in Bhopal. I went to North India, generally travelling throughout villages and helping people in the best way I possibly could. So many events were unfolding in my life that had such beautiful stories to tell. They were such rewarding events happening that I couldn't really believe some of the things. So something was telling me my inner self was working. It was working through love, and that's all I had to give, was love. I'd lost everything in my life, but I just wanted to give love away. Not a very religious guy, but I suppose quite spiritual. I believe that there's something within each one of us. Call it whatever name you like. For me it's the same thing. It was based on love. And I found the more love that I gave away, the more that seemed to arrive. And working with these children and people in Kenya and in India, I began to realise that I was concerning myself, what I had lost, but there were so many who had nothing to lose. But anyway, off I went on that journey, and so much happened that I thought, well, I must record this, and I did, so I wrote my book. You will see unfoldments in my book, even with art, of those things that are within us all. I'd never painted a picture, for example, in my entire life, but maybe you'll look at my website and see those landscapes that all came from within. They were like a story unfolding from my withinness, the inner man. So there we are. I think that's probably said enough for my little video to you, but it's all there on my website, so thank you so much for listening. Thank you.